What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I am your host, Source, of course. You can always check me out on Instagram or Twitter at Smitty Source, Instagram and Twitter. Of course, the Facebook page is Source and Company, and the YouTube channel is Source and Company, where all the shows are housed, all the Source and Company podcast. All right. Today's guest, as you can see, apparently. This bobblehead is the owner and founder of Advanced Home Inspection, also the CVFA League President, Central Virginia Flag Football Association, and the Virginia Flag Football Association statewide league. He is the commissioner of that as well. And his name is Brad Gamlin. Hello, Bradley.
Cheers.
Who's your friend?
What's that?
That's a different friend. I said, who's your friend? But I was.
So I got that in the mail about a week ago with a note that said, "Thank you for everything you do. We miss the CVFA," and no sign. No, they didn't sign who it was from. So somebody got me a jersey with my number on it, flags on the side, and they even put the gray in the beard to kind of be realistic, but insulting nonetheless.
Man, that's heavy. That is heavy.
It cracked me up, man. It cracked me up.
Yeah, so yeah, it is. It's very interesting. That's the
Never
word.
Never a dull moment around these parts, man. Never a dull moment.
Understood. How's it going? I see you got your libation there.
Yeah, it's going, man. It's going. I'm dealing a lot better than I was about a week ago.
You were struggling.
I was struggling bad. And now I was just joking with my wife about, I might actually kind of start to get used to this, not having to do much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Quarantine.
Weird times we live in, man.
It is indeed. But the good thing, the good thing is everybody's healthy, yes?
Yeah, everybody's healthy.
So we have to take solace in that. I told you before, I'm sure I'm great because I don't really have to go anywhere for real. Like, I don't mind being in the house. And I like my family. So, that's cool too. A lot of people can't say that, and they stuck at home with the fam and they're like, let me out. Even people that may be introverts are probably like, let me out of the house. Me, I'm good though.
I got to leave the house about once a day.
Yeah.
And, I've been doing some inspections. I've been still working, but I've been trying to work from home a lot more. And I've been leaving the house about once a day. I took my son for a drive earlier today, and I had an inspection. And, yeah. My oldest son is losing his mind because my wife won't let him leave. But
well, it's hard. I mean, you said your wife won't let me. You're like, just be careful and go. Probably. Yeah.
But she won't let me leave either, but when she looks the other direction, I take off.
Understood. So you say you're working, which is a good thing. Advanced home inspection. So explain what that is, what you do.
So I've been in the construction business pretty much my whole life. What we do is we take a look at a house before you buy it to make sure that everything is in working order, basically. The Federal Housing Administration has set up a certain amount of minimum standards for housing, and we make sure that houses meet those minimum standards. And then we also educate people on how to maintain their house, where the water shutoffs are, what happens if this happens, what happens if that happens, how long this is expected to last, how long that is expected to last. Try to educate people as much.
That's real because, going into the house buying lane can be hectic, especially if you don't know what the heck you're doing. And you're frozen. Brad. Yeah.
Bueller. There you are. You're back.
Hey. All right. Did you hear anything I said?
Not a word.
Okay, cool. It wasn't important anyway. So Yeah, it's important to have somebody on your side when you're going to buy a house, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Do you get a lot of experienced home buyers, or is it more like newer home buyers?
I would say half and half. Yeah, half and half. I mean, a lot of it is first-time home buyers that are obviously sweating, terrified, and then half of them is just tell me what I need to do.
Mm. So let's take it back to the beginning, not to the beginning, but
Well,
to,
first the Earth cooled, then the dinosaurs came. They got too big and fat, and then they turned into. Oh, so I was trying to make a joke.
yeah. See, and
Failed.
that's why I had to clarify. That's why I had to clarify. So your beginning, actually,
Okay.
you were originally, or you are originally from Fairfax.
I was born in Fairfax.
Born in
My
Fairfax.
family is my mother's side are Scandinavian immigrants, and I was born in Fairfax. My mom moved to Fairfax about 2 years before I was born. Grew up there and in Arlington and in the District of Columbia a little bit, and then we moved to the backwoods of Spotsylvania, much to my dismay.
I was going to say, how did that work out for you? Because it's a whole different world.
And it was culture shock. I mean, it was. I went from we lived in Arlington, 2 stoplights outside of DC, and to go from that, I mean, I was 8 years old, I think, allowed to ride around on the subway, and to go from that to we only had to dial 4 digits on the phone to call anybody within the county in Spotsylvania. We lived on a dirt road that was off of a dirt road.
Wow.
And we had a party line with our next door neighbor. And
Time out. I've heard the phrase party line. I'm older than you, but I've heard the phrase party line before. I don't even know what that means.
So you when the phone rang, it had 2 different rings, and it let you know who the phone was for. And then sometimes you pick up the phone and your neighbor would be on it.
Really? So that's a real thing. And that's not even that. I mean,
it's not that long ago, no.
Not that long ago in reality. Wow. So that just, I mean, I guess that speaks to the area more than anything else.
I mean, they didn't offer cable television until my senior year in high school.
I don't know what to do with that. Like, what do you do with that information? That's crazy. Like, we didn't have cable until I was like getting ready to go to high school. But that's a different thing. Like, not having it and not being able to even access it. That's a whole new world.
Especially so the road that I lived on, you had to drive through a river because there was no bridge. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It's called Hams Ford Road, and you had to ford the Matta River. And when water was high, you had to go around because there was no bridge.
I'm sorry, when water was high, you had to do what?
You had to go all the way around about a 15-mile trip. Okay. Because if you drove through it when the water was high, you would get stuck. Your car would get washed away.
All right, so this explains a lot. Okay. So now let's just get all the way out of Spotsylvania. I don't even want to talk about Spotsylvania.
Well, I mean, there's a reason for it. And our previous conversation, we kind of dove into it a little bit. My dad in the late 70s, early 80s, the economy was dumping, and he was not an educated man. He thought that we needed to move out to the country and be self-sufficient. So we basically started a farm, and we wanted to kind of live off of the grid as much as possible, growing our own food and taking care of ourselves and being self-sufficient, because he really thought that the economy was going to completely collapse, which I can understand going through what we're going through right now, especially if I was 19 years old and with 2 small children. I think I'd be a little bit more concerned than I am now. But so we moved out to the country and we started growing our own food and drinking goat's milk and trying to be as self-sufficient as humanly possible. And it taught me a lot. I mean, I had to work my ass off. All my friends were playing video games and I was working at a very young age. So it kind of taught me in a lot of ways, kind of an overactive sense of responsibility, and not something that I'm proud of it, but I don't like it.
But do you think that particular time in your life is the reason why you're as, I guess, active as you are now?
I would say it's a large reason why I have such a chip on my shoulder.
Explain.
So my stepdad was one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. I'm on podcast.
I got him.
One of the most brilliant people. He's now writing, and his writing is so clever and interesting, and I always really looked up to my stepdad as to, you know, he didn't have the best people skills, but he was very clever and very intelligent, and he was kind of like MacGyver. He could fix anything with just the random crap that you have lying around. And I used to see how people treated him because he didn't graduate from high school, because he lived on a farm in Spotsylvania, and because he worked construction. And it really gave me a horrible chip on my shoulder about, we used to call them suits, because we would go to work in DC, and we would do office renovations, and people used to just treat him like shit, even though he was the smartest person I've ever met. Yeah, so what? He didn't graduate from high school. So what? He did time in jail. So what? Who cares about any of that shit? It gave me a horrible chip on my shoulder, kind of, that I felt like I had something to prove to the world. That I'm not explaining this very well, but I never wanted people to treat me the same way that they treated him, but at the same time, I didn't want to be part of them.
So that kind of speaks to the way you are now. Like, I see you deal with people from every tax bracket, from the poor, like legit struggling, to people that are probably pretty well off, and you tend to treat people the same, generally speaking.
Absolutely, because I never want to be one of those people.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cliche, but I put my pants on the same as everybody else does, and I grew up dirt poor on food stamps and eating government cheese and dehydrated milk and all of that stuff, and I know what that's like, and I know that I've been pretty successful in my life up to this point, but I know that I'm only a few really bad months away from being right back there.
Yeah.
And just because I've been successful doesn't make me any better of a person. And I don't really care what people think of me. I don't care about any of that. I don't ever want to be one of those suits that talked down to my stepdad and talked down to me and treated us like shit. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I want to lead a respectable life, so that they don't talk to me like that. But at the same time, I don't want to be one of them. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Yeah, you want to be maybe with the people, not of the people.
Exactly. I want to be with the people.
Understood. So
I don't care what your bank account looks like. You treat me with respect, I treat you with respect. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
like, you got a lot in there. It's just not coming out.
So much in there, it's just not coming out.
So you ended up making your way to VCU after leaving Spotsylvania, coming to school in the Richmond area. What led you to, was VCU like the option, or what led you to VCU?
It was the only option.
It was only
I played in a band all through high school, in a band with a bunch of guys that were a lot older than me, and we recorded. I can remember leaving my SATs early and not taken the last test because I know we had a recording session. And
This guy.
well, we were paid $150 an hour for it.
Fair.
And that to me at the time was more important.
Gotcha.
So, we record that. That was my life. That was what I was passionate about. From about 15 on, all I really cared about was music. I had a number of different bands, and I managed all the bands. We can remember at one point in time I was 16 years old, and there was an old disused theater in downtown Fredericksburg named the Colonial Theater. Hadn't had anything there in years. And I went to the city and found out who owned it, tracked him down, found out his phone number. This is all before internet. Called him and said, I want to give you $500 to use your theater for a night. And I worked my ass off to scrounge up $500 so that I could rent out the theater. And I got a bunch of bands together and we sold it out. And I promoted it and hyped it. And I mean, all I was thinking about was promoting this show. Printed up tickets and stamped each one with a different number. And I mean, I think we sold 500 tickets for this show. And wow. They kept doing shows after that because they realized it was a moneymaker. And that was what was important to me, was this band. And then after high school, I spent a little bit of time in Lewis, Delaware, and I was a street performer. It was a whole nother story, but
Delaware, come on, dude.
It's Rehoboth Beach, though. I mean, it was juggling on the beach and all of that, on the boardwalk to make money. And
time out. Did you say juggling? Wait.
Yeah, I would crack jokes and juggle and all of this with a hat out front to make money.
Serious right now, Brian?
Dead serious.
Who's? New information once again. New information that I knew nothing about. Okay.
It's so funny because I think this is totally normal until I tell someone the stories of my life and watch people's reaction and realize, well, maybe I have led kind of an odd life.
I'm just saying. We have to do the other stuff. Like, we're talking about Delaware. Who knew Delaware was going to come up in this conversation? But anyway.
Yeah, right. So I enrolled at VCU because they had a music business program. And at one point, I kind of realized that I was more interested in the business side of music than I was actually playing. I love the rush playing on stage, but I liked the rush of organizing the concerts more than actually doing it. I kind of like working by myself, and that I did a lot by myself, and I would set up these big concerts. We did about one a month for a span of 3 or 4 years. Wow. And I realized that was my passion, of promoting and getting a bunch of people together and getting everybody excited about this big event. And I would bring in bands from other parts of the state. And actually, one of the bands that I brought in turned into Lamb of God. Really? It was way long before they were Lamb of God, but it was two guys, the two brothers from Lamb of God were in another band called Calibra. And we brought them in, and God, you want to talk about blowing us off the stage. It was fucking embarrassing.
Really?
But like, we didn't even play the second set because they were so good and we were so bad. But it was fun, though. It was a lot of fun. And a lot of those things, I never, when I was a kid, well, even now, I never look at something and say, I can't do that. I look at something and say, all right, I got to figure out how to do that. Something interests me. All right, it's a challenge. I got to figure out how to do that, and I'm kind of obsessive about a lot of things when I get an idea in my head. Like the idea I have in my head right now, we just went for a long ride over this past weekend, and I want to rent out Richmond International Raceway and organize a race with my friends, a car race. And it's going to happen. I'll find a fucking way to make it happen. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen yet, but it's going to happen. So anyways.
Wow. Hey, that's good. I mean, goals, dreams. Not that it's a life-changing dream, but that would be pretty dope, though. I mean,
especially a lot of fun. Dangerous as shit, but a lot of fun.
Hey,
So I went to VCU to study music business, and um, about halfway through my sophomore year, they killed the program. I was the head of the concert committee at the time, and I was booking all the concerts for VCU at Schaefer Court.
mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I felt like I've never felt so in my element in my life as I did at when I was doing the Schaefer Court concerts. I was pretty devastated when they killed the program. And it would just so happen at the same time I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. Excuse me. So I dropped out of VCU and I left. It's a very oversimplified explanation, but
You dropped out of VCU and you did what?
I left. I went to Atlanta.
There we go. Okay. How long were you in Atlanta?
Almost a year.
Okay.
Over the span of the fall semester of '96, I think. They killed the program.
Mm-hmm.
My girlfriend died. I found my next door neighbor behind my house, overdosed and dead. I found another friend of mine. Well, I didn't find him. Someone else found him, but he had been stabbed and killed. And my grandmother died.
Yeah. So death
That
was.
was over the course of one semester, and I was kind of drinking myself to death, to be honest. And I needed to do the proverbial Control-Alt-Delete on my life. So I moved to Atlanta. So I was in Atlanta, and I didn't know anybody. So all I did was I had a computer, and I would sit and play SimCity all the time. And I was obsessed with. So here's the funny part about this. I'm going to turn the phone a little bit. You see what that says? City Skylines. That's the new version. I've been obsessed with playing that for the last couple of days.
Wow.
So I was obsessed with SimCity. I mean, I would fall down a rabbit hole and play for 15 hours. I decided, so shit hit the fan in Atlanta. I got evicted from my apartment. I was homeless. I lost basically everything I had. I was DJing. I had all my DJ equipment stolen. I mean, it was a real low point. And so I kind of ran back to Richmond with my tail between my legs and crashed at friends' apartments and such, and started dating this girl. I was bartending at Mulligan's at the time, and she was a waitress there. I started dating her and randomly went and stayed at her aunt and uncle's house in Baltimore, and we were just chit-chatting, and I said I wanted to go back to school, but I don't know what I want to do because they killed my program. So I don't know what to do. And he was a professor at Johns Hopkins. And he said, well, what are you interested in? And I said, well, I love playing SimCity. And he goes, well, you know that's a job, right? Really? One thing leads to another. 3 years later, I have a degree in urban planning.
There it is.
And that is no bullshit. That is why I have a degree in urban planning, because of SimCity.
So we're only.
I get something stuck in my head, man.
We're only to like 22, 23 years of your life, and you've already lived like 4 lives. As far as things happening, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
And we didn't even talk about me putting on a football helmet, headbutting the goats when I was a kid. So.
Yeah. We're gonna leave that for the next.
The look on your face was a meme.
Next podcast. Let's talk. So let's talk about this.
All right.
Oh, goats and bobbleheads. I don't know. There's a joke. I don't know what it is, so. So you mentioned earlier about your love, of bringing people together for common whatever, to have a good time, basically. And it's kind of what you do with the with football, with the CFA, Central Virginia Football Association?
I truly believe that everyone is born with a talent.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. Some people find that talent later in life. I was fortunate enough to figure out what my talent was pretty early. Even in elementary school, I was pulling people together. I would go and buy big things of now and laters, and I would sell them for $0.25 each. I was always good at, I was the social chair at my fraternity. I've always been, that is what I love doing. I love getting people excited for an event. Because I get so excited, and it's like, come on, let's go. And now it's this car thing that I got going on. I was just talking to my boy Corey this morning about it. Like, my brain is just going like, okay, what racetrack can I? All we did was go for a drive this past weekend. That's all we did. Now my brain is like, all right, we can start a race circuit for amateurs, and just gone. Anyways,
once it starts, it can't stop, huh?
I can't shut it off, man. So everybody has a talent, and I implore everyone to figure out what that talent is that you have, because you have it. You just got to figure out what it is and how to use it. Like I said, I was lucky to figure mine out pretty early.
That's the key, though. That's the key. I think a lot of people know they have a talent or are good at something.
Man,
don't be
scared. Don't be scared to use it.
Sometimes they don't know what to do with it, though. Like,
yeah,
is there a lane for whatever it is I'm good at, you know?
Yeah. So I was DJing and all of that stuff and doing parties. So I moved from concerts to parties because I left my band when I was in school, and it was kind of about the same time that my girlfriend died. All of that. So I left my band and I started DJing because I was making like $300 a night doing it. And I was putting together these big parties, and kind of it was the exact same thing, except it was just me instead of a group of people.
Gotcha.
And a different style of music. So
that's why your music taste is so eclectic.
Yeah.
Because of DJing. Now that makes sense.
So, and because I grew up with a mother that listened almost exclusively to Motown and funk, and everybody else in my family listened to metal. So, yeah, that's basically all I listen to is funk, blues, and metal.
Gotcha.
So I came back from Atlanta just a shell of a man, to be honest. It took me a long time to fill myself back up from my girlfriend dying and everything else. Fast forward about 5 years.
Wait, back up 1 second.
Okay.
Do you ever, because that was a lot, like a lot of things that happened in that short amount of time. Death of the program. Boom. Do you ever reconcile all of that? Like, even to this point, do you think that a piece of you, is kind of lost in that?
A piece of me died that day.
Yeah.
Those months, yes. And I try not to think about it, because I do get choked up when I think about it, because honestly, a part of me died.
Right. That's real.
I mean, she was my biggest advocate. She was, I could do no wrong in her eyes. And she was the one that always pushed me to do more. And she was the one that would always call me out if I was being lazy, because I am prone to being lazy. And a part of me, I'm not the same person I was before 1998.
Gotcha.
And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I can't go back in time, and I can't, make someone not drive drunk.
Gotcha. Well, let's not depress the people. So You were saying 5 years ahead.
So fast forward 5 years. I went to school, graduated from school. Was dating a girl for a number of years. We broke up. I shacked up with my current wife, and graduated from college, got a job building houses. And I had always been in the construction business, like I said before, with my stepdad,
Right.
from the time I was about 13 years old on. So I started building houses for Better Housing Coalition and buying old, like dilapidated buildings and trying to figure out a way to fix them up and make them. I was, growing up where and how I grew up, affordable housing was very important to me.
Okay.
I grew up in a trailer park. I mean, affordable housing was very near and dear to my heart. I mean, my mom had me when I was 17 years old, and we needed affordable housing, and other people need affordable housing. And so affordable housing was very important to me. So I started trying to figure out how I could build houses, finding grants and all of those sorts of things, and getting people into neighborhoods like Churchill and Carver, and in a way that was beneficial to the neighborhood and helpful for people. And so with building houses, I completely forgot where I was going with the story.
Building houses.
We're going to have a beer and try to remember.
Yeah, that's how it happens. So we can still talk CVFA. Actually.
Oh, yeah, that's where I was going with all that. Okay.
Okay.
So I met my wife. I quit smoking and gained a lot of weight. I was up to about 280 pounds.
Dang.
And my wife is a personal trainer.
Wait, I'm sorry I missed that. I just want to say that. Okay, go on.
My wife is a personal trainer. And when we first started dating, she is not the nagging type at all. But she said, Brad, I really think that you should find something that you enjoy doing to get you some exercise. Because I was a portly fella. So I went on to the County of Henrica's website and found a flag football league. I said, I want to play. It was at Crestview on weeknights. Started playing at Crestview. Within one season, I was running my own team.
Of course.
And of course, just because I get obsessed. I start, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do that. I get obsessed. And the guy who was running the team at the time was like, please, take it. So then, we built a pretty good team. And we made it to the state championship game and all of that fun stuff. And then, I'm leaving out some details, but eventually a few people approached me and said, hey, if you start a league, we will come and play with you. And I thought, okay, because I was doing a lot of the kind of the off the field stuff, the interesting, keep people engaged throughout the course of the week sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So in 2009, I started my own league with 6 teams, and we played at Gillies in the mud, and then some. And I was working at the city at the time, again, building affordable houses. And I had a lot of time to kill, right? Because city jobs, you sit behind a computer and twiddle your thumbs a lot. So I just became a little obsessed, and I started reaching out to people all over the country who had big leagues, like, and trying to figure out, how did you grow your league? What can I learn from you? What can I do? And I started thinking about it in terms of the concerts. What did I learn from the concerts that could help me with the league? And it always went back to the same kind of fundamental principle of every single person who plays in the league, I don't care who you are, where you are, when you are, what you are. Every single person there at some point in their life dreamed about playing at the next level. And the vast majority of us are not nearly talented enough to do that. But we all dreamt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what can I do? How can I create an experience that is as close to that as possible? That is how I'm going to grow the league, is I have to create an experience where people feel like, maybe just for 10 minutes, but they feel like a superstar.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing.
So, what's that?
So that's a beautiful thing, though.
And it is, because it's a fantasy that we're building into. I am too. Except I never really dreamed about playing sports at another level. I dreamt about playing music at another level. And at some point, the two became one in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Music and sports. I think I mentioned this to you before, that I have dreams that I am playing a concert, but our quarterback's not there.
Right.
Or we're going to go play a tournament, but the bass player broke a string. So how are we going to do it? You know, it's so funny how those two things in my head have become one so much that I dream that they are the same thing. Because in a lot of ways they are. It's just the medium is different. The media, you know, it's all about getting people excited to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You want to act like you're a rock star for a night. That's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16 years old playing a concert in front of 3,000 people. We were fucking horrible. I mean, we were fucking horrible.
Right.
But what I was good at was figuring out a way to get people excited to come and do something. And they cheered us. I mean, you know, Pam pressed me. Girls were throwing their fucking bras on the stage. I mean,
Life changer.
yeah, exactly. I mean, how do you recreate that? That's 16 years old. I mean, I feel like I've peaked, but you know, nothing has changed though, except the tool. Now I'm doing tournaments where I'm getting 1,000 people from all over the state, super excited about coming out and proving you're the best.
Right.
Man, we all suck. If we didn't suck, we wouldn't be playing flag football. Let's be honest. We would be playing on Sundays or Saturday or somewhere else. We all kind of, but we suck less than other people. And and it's to me, it's not about the game, it's about the experience. And I do lament the fact that I have stopped doing the newsletter and a lot of those little things, but I just don't have the energy to do it anymore, man. I've tried to pass that off to other people, but I've always thought that everybody kind of shares the same passion that I have about things, and I've learned that they don't. And it is what it is. It's okay because people still love it. I do feel bad because I don't do those sort of value-added things anymore, but I can't. I mean, that newsletter took me a day and a half. The stats took me a day and a half. The league doesn't pay shit.
People had stats for flag football. Like,
yeah,
that's an experience. That, I mean, somebody somewhere. I not more than a month and a half ago, I don't know who I was talking to, but I know I said there's been people that have had perfect passer ratings or all completed passes in a game.
Yeah.
I was like, one of them's me. I don't even know what it's about.
Well, I've got two things to tell you. One, I did stop it, and this was not on purpose, but I stopped it to where I am the career leader in sacks for the CVFA. Just happened to be it when I stopped it.
Just happened to work out that way.
And two, I have 2 games in my life where I have 2 interceptions. One of them was against you.
2 interceptions against me?
I had 2 in one game at Sports Quest.
That I threw?
Yeah.
What game was this? We're going to have to talk about this.
The other one was against Joe.
Okay, yeah. We're going to have to talk about this one because I need and I need plays. I need to know what happened because that was my memory.
I jumped in on a game with some other team. I don't even know who they were.
I knew that was the game you were talking about. Yep. I knew it. I knew that was the whole deal. You know what? You're right.
Yep. I played safety that game and I had 2 picks.
Yep.
And they were both lucky as shit, but I'll take it.
One was in the
end. Not athletic. We all know this.
Well, I mean, you are the what do they call you? I don't know. I don't want to say it myself.
Baby making hips.
There you go. He said it, not me. So the experience of flag football, I mean, we all love it. I mean, we've had some greats. Although you said we all suck, we've had some talented come through, extremely talented. I mean, we have to mention at the very least we have to mention Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, yeah.
Which is crazy because we had just watched him. Was it a Rose Bowl?
Yeah, it was Rose Bowl.
The bowl game, and it was his senior season after that bowl game. So before the draft, after the season's over, and he was playing flag football in Richmond.
And I didn't recognize him.
Yeah. Tell the story though.
All right. So the team told me, they were like, "Yeah, we got a ringer." Yeah. Everybody does. Cool story, bro. So I show up to the game and I'm setting up for stats. And
right.
Part of the stat, the unique identifier was email address. So I'm like, "Yeah, what's your name? What's your email address? Blah, blah, blah. Next person, what's your name?" And I looked at him, I said, "What's your name?" He goes, "Russell." I said, "What's your last name?" He goes, Wilson. Next. and it didn't occur to me until about halfway through the game. It was like, "Oh, that Russell Wilson."
Hilarious.
It's like, oh, they do have a ringer.
I think they still lost, actually, which was fun.
He threw 3 interceptions in that game, and I joked about it. I was like, well, that's the difference between throwing to Wisconsin Rose Bowl receivers and random dudes in Richmond receivers, because he overthrew everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
And then about halfway through the game, he was like, "Man, fuck this." And he reached down and he tied up his laces. He was like, "I'm going to take this game over." He had 2 picks and picked off passes from safety. And he was like, you could tell he really started playing about halfway through the game. And which was also about the time I was like, "Damn, this kid's good." Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wilson. Oops.
Yep.
So
shout out to Chris Lynch for
Chris Lynch
backing Russell Wilson.
Game.
I love it.
I'd
hold on to that. I mean, shoot. Yes, I sacked Russell Wilson. Doesn't matter where it was.
3 times.
Doesn't matter where it was. Know that I sacked Russell Wilson. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your travels, Bradley. You have to talk about your travels because you bounced around the world pretty much over the last year or 2.
Yeah.
Am I shorting you on time? Maybe a little longer than
about 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I mean, I don't want you to list off your whole life, but you can throw out a couple of places that you've been and maybe your favorite experience.
We've been to Colombia, and this is all with my kids. We've been to Colombia. We've been to Costa Rica, St. Martin, Guatemala, Belize, and Iceland, which has been by far our favorite.
Iceland. You and your kids.
Me and my kids.
No wife for this particular one. You and 2 boys.
Me and 2 boys. And the funny thing about that trip, I don't think I can do anything in my life without a funny story, is we were supposed to leave Saturday at 8 a.m. Friday at 3 p.m., WOW Air goes out of business.
Mm.
We had tickets on WoW Air.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent about 7 hours on different. I mean, I was calling, and I was Googling airlines I'd never heard of, based out of South Africa, and trying to figure out, okay, can we fly to Madagascar, then get a puddle jumper to Zimbabwe, and then a flight, anything you could imagine. Finally, at about 4:00 in the morning, I got through to Iceland Air because they had their recording said, due to high call volume, we are no longer accepting phone calls. Thank you. Bye. Click.
Wow.
Finally got through with them. Spent an arm and a leg, but it was the most amazing trip. We flew there, and it was like we tried to pack so much into 4 days. It was just me and my two boys. And the second we landed, we were supposed to meet somebody. It was a red eye, and we were supposed to meet somebody about 30 minutes later for a drive through the interior of the country. And we met him, and it was one of these gigantic, like, it was a Toyota Land Cruiser, but it had wheels on it the size of Ohio. And at one point, it was a complete whiteout. Like, when I say complete whiteout, you couldn't see the hood of the car. He was driving by GPS. He eventually turned his windshield wipers off because they weren't doing any good. He had this really good marine GPS, and he zoomed into exactly where the road was and was driving just looking down at the GPS.
Wow.
And you couldn't see anything. He goes, at one point, he looked at me with a real thick Icelandic accent and goes, it's a real shame that you can't see what's going on right now, because we're basically on a cliff right now, and you can see about 25 miles. And I'm like, cliff? You can't see the fucking road. Oh, no, I'm good.
Wow.
And we got out, and I did a Facebook Live video, and my son, who was wearing shorts, started walking, and the guy, whose name's Flossie, started screaming, stop. And we're like, what? He goes, that's a cliff. And when I say it was a white, I mean, you couldn't see anything. You could barely see your hand in front of your face.
Mm.
He goes, you're about to walk off a cliff right now.
I don't think you could have come home after that one.
No, probably not. I would have had to just go back to Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
But it was quite an adventure, man. I mean, it was, Iceland is the happiest. The people were just the happiest place I've ever been. And of all the places we've been, I miss it the most, man. It's a feeling that you get there. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, the weather sucks. You go outside, it's 30 degrees and sleeting, and the playground is full of kids. And I remember saying to a lady who talked to her, I was like, shit would never happen in the United States. And she said, in Iceland, we have a saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. I'm like, man, the people, we got invited to people's houses, and well, everywhere we've been. I mean, we when we travel, we try to get away from resorts, and we tend to rent apartments in usually kind of run-down neighborhoods, because again, it kind of goes back to the whole how I was raised thing. I don't want to be around a bunch of rich people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be around a bunch of real people, and that don't care about how they seem. I want to meet real people. And we got invited to people's houses in Colombia, and it's the loudest place I've ever been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is they are so festive. People in Colombia, I mean, it's everything. Oh, today ends in a Y. Let's party. I mean, it is the most festive place you can imagine. Everything was a reason for a party. We got invited to people's houses there. We got invited to people's houses in Iceland, in Belize, and it's just I love going to places and taking my kids to places and meeting real people and seeing how they live, because I don't want them to think that this country is the be all end all of how life is, because it's
Right.
not. The more diversity that you get in your life, the more appreciation you have for people, because everybody's different and everybody wants to see the world through their own eyes, through their own worldview, but that's not realistic. So I want to put my kids in uncomfortable situations. I want to, because they're real. We walked through the market in Cartagena, Colombia, and it was equal parts terrifying and exhilarating, because there were so many people and it was so chaotic that I felt like someone could grab my kids at any point in time and I would never see them. But it's real. And it may be a little reckless, but we're all fine. We all came back from it and we all remember that experience. That the food that we got there was unbelievable. The music that we heard was unbelievable. The people that we met were unbelievable. And people live like that. They go there every day. That's their life. And I want my kids to see the world. I want my kids to see different people. I want them to appreciate different people and respect different people. And that's the most important part, is that I want them to respect people for exactly what they are and not try to change them into what you are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's what people tend to do. Want people to become who they are, pretty much to make themselves more comfortable, really.
Why would you want to go to a place in another country that is a little America? You could do
Yeah,
that. You could do that in Virginia Beach.
yeah, absolutely.
You don't learn anything from that. I really feel like everywhere we've gone, we have come back a different person. I came back a different person from everywhere we've been, because of the experiences that we had, because of the people that we met, because we were thrown into uncomfortable situations. Never necessarily dangerous, but we were thrown into uncomfortable situations. We were out of our comfort zone. We learned something. I truly feel that I'm a different person, and I think my kids are too. Every time we went somewhere, we came back a different person. And that is to me, that is the whole purpose of traveling. Otherwise, just go to Lake Anna. You want a beach? Go to Lake Anna.
That's
Nothing wrong with Lake Anna.
right, right, right.
Your rednecks calling me up this evening, because I know they will. I grew up with them. But there's a slight difference between the market in Cartagena and Lake Anna. And
There.
you learn things about yourself by throwing yourself into uncomfortable situations.
I'm gonna have to remember that one. You learn a lot about yourself, throwing yourself into uncomfortable situations.
Well, it's like a football team. Everything's great when you're winning. It's when you start losing that exposes all the nerves. That exposes all the bad things. And the team that can get through losing and still be strong is a strong team.
That's a great point. That's everything. Uh, being wealthy and if you happen to lose, how do you respond from it?
Yeah.
Being a boxer, I was just thinking boxing. When they say you get punched in the face, what Mike Tyson said,
everybody has a plan till you get punched in the mouth.
that right there. That's it right there. That's it.
I got punched in the mouth, and when my girlfriend died, I got punched in the mouth in Atlanta. I've been punched in the mouth quite a few times. And yeah, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the mouth. And then the strong people, and not saying I'm strong, but the strong people figure a way to come back from that. And I pride myself on being able to face adversity and come out better because of it. Because I think every bad thing that you go through in life makes you stronger. You know?
Yeah, you might not appreciate it at the time, but when you look back,
Hell no.
I mean, right, obviously, you don't appreciate it at the time, but
Hell no.
like on it, then you might see a difference in yourself from that situation to now or the current situation.
Not like I wake up and say, yay, I want to be evicted from my apartment because it's going to make me awesome.
Yeah, nobody signs up for that type of stuff, but you got to find the positives and the negatives.
Sorry.
As we see here. We're going to wrap this up, Brad, but I started something new, not a big deal. Just in the last couple of interviews, I've asked for a top 5 something from the guests.
Okay.
Company, like source and company. You're the company, right? So for you, top 5 musical acts. And it doesn't have to be a band. It can be an individual. It can be a singer.
Live or studio?
I'm sorry?
Live or studio?
Oh, see. Everybody's not going to know everything that you've seen or know the concerts that you've been to. So let's go studio, just so it's your playing ground.
All right. Studio. In no particular order.
Cool.
The Roots.
Yes.
Radiohead. Caius. That's a little esoteric, but I like them because they recorded live instead of tracked it out. So there was a lot of bleed through from instrument to instrument, and it sounded very. So they evolved into Queens of the Stone Age, which you've probably heard of.
Okay.
Gnarls Barkley.
Interesting one there.
They are so good at capturing emotion. Like when you listen to The Odd Couple, if you listen to it track to track to track to track, it is an emotional roller coaster. And they're so good at capturing the different emotions of life and kind of expressing them through music. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of their music,
right?
But I really respect how they have captured emotion. How many is that?
4.
And then Tool. Got to be Tool.
Tool. Well, you lived. You lived to fight another day. I'm glad we did this again, Bradley. I apologize for the first time. We did a whole interview, people. Yes, we did a whole interview, and somehow
that little thing right there wasn't recorded.
It didn't record. Happens to the best of them, right?
Bobblehead is very, very ashamed of you.
Hey, you know what? But we would have never known about the bobblehead without the second. And
this is true, because it wouldn't have come to mail yet.
Well, Bradley, once again, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time to join me twice. And any last words for the people?
No, man, just don't be scared to be great. So many people are scared of success. They're not scared of failure. They're scared of success and how will it change my world. Don't be scared to be great, man.
There it is. Don't be scared to be great. Appreciate you, Bradley.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, we are out here.